Hello and welcome to today's session of the Connect and Grow Coffee Talks podcast. My name is Beja and I'm a software engineer at Comsysto Reply, and I'm doing this podcast together with my colleague Christian. Today's session is about collaborative modeling, and I'm very happy to have my colleague Sven with me today. We've done quite a couple of projects together, quite some workshops also with clients, but also other things like Code for Kids as last week, and we're going to conference next week as the ComoCamp in Vienna. So I'm very happy to have you here with me and to chat a little bit about collaborative modeling. So first of all, maybe to also give you the chance to introduce yourself, share maybe a little bit on how you came to collaborative modeling methods, what are maybe benefits, why you like them, why you're fascinated by them. So yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Beja. It's always nice to be here. Yeah, I'm Sven. I'm a solutions architect and engineer at Comsysto Reply, based in Munich. And I've been working in IT now for almost 20 years in different industries for different customers, but always hands-on coding. And a couple of years ago, like you said, we started to use more and more domain-driven design and also collaborative modeling in our projects. And I guess this is what we want to talk about today, right?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. So maybe why did you start with collaborative modeling? Why is this interesting? Why should also our clients care about it?
So I personally was always interested in DDD. I read the book by Eric Evans a long time ago, and it was focused a lot on implementation of DDD. And then there came this whole community on how to actually use workshops and collaborative modeling as a first step before you even write code. And we had a chance a couple of years ago in a greenfield project to actually use some of these methods. It was an event storming session on site with a lot of people. And this was really the trigger for me, where I saw this has really great potential for doing software projects.
No. Yeah, and that's also how you got me engaged. But what is one of the potentials, or why is, in case of event storming, why is this such a great method, and why should we also strive in more projects to do or to use collaborative modeling methods?
Yeah, so in my opinion, this whole collaborative modeling approach where you get the people together is really the best way up to now to facilitate discovery in these complex software projects, in my opinion. Compared to this business analyst workflow where you create a lot of documents, or this business process modeling, which we were taught many years ago, this collaborative modeling just feels better and gets you to a better and faster understanding of the domain and all the problems and benefits of the solution involved for all stakeholders. So instead of just business analysts writing documents and talking to users and then the software engineers building it in the end, you get all the stakeholders in the room, preferably. And then they talk to each other, they discover the domain, and they gather this common understanding, right? And this is really, I think, the main thing where I think this is really useful. So not all projects will benefit from this. Like if you, build the next moon rocket, you probably use different processes and you need more detailed analysis. But for the usual custom software projects that we do, it seems to be a perfect fit. Yeah. So there's also this notion of good enough architecture, good enough software architecture. I think there's even a book on it. And I think all of these methods and this community about collaborative modeling can be called good enough modeling, right? Where you do just enough to get started, but you don't spend or waste a lot of time on this analysis part.
Yeah. So you don't spend months and months on analyzing, writing down details that might change along the way, that if you iteratively write your code, can also always change. So to have this before writing code, but always in between to readjust, see, okay, that the modeling still worked. To also have this long-term effect by just bringing people together and having this communication channels that you also build in these kind of workshops, that the engineer now knows the person from the business side, best case even in person.
Exactly. So I think this is as agile as this modeling part of what we do gets, right? So you actually talk to the people on site firsthand, and you can already identify if you have a different view, right? So what we sometimes see in projects that we did, and I also saw this, is that there is no real common understanding between all stakeholders of the solution and the priority, what needs to be built next, and what do you even want to have. So I was in projects that were running for years, and then suddenly people started accidentally talking to stakeholders because they met them in some meetings. And then they discovered very interesting things, right? They had completely different assumptions. They were like, hey, why didn't we talk before? Why is this coming up right now? And this was really not necessary, I think, if you invest a little bit in this collaborative approach early on. So there are many examples of this.
I also really like this quote of Alberto Brandolini, where he says, it's not the knowledge of the domain experts that go into production, but it's the assumptions of the developers. So there's like so many small decisions that are not or cannot be specified in stories and tickets, in requirements, that we as engineers have to make every day in every single line of code that we write. And the better an understanding of we actually have of the business processes, the better code we write in the end. And the easier it is also to come up or make decisions in code that actually like really serves the purpose of the process that we want to like digitalize, or that we want to solve the problem that we want to solve.
And there's an interesting toolbox and an interesting community around this. Not only DDD, but also collaborative modeling. I think it goes hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah.
And what we see is that it really can reduce these expensive rewrites or refactorings or implementation of features even that nobody uses or nobody wants, right? So it happens. And then you ask yourself, why did it happen and why didn't we discover this before? And these methods can be really fun, right? So they're also really exhaustive if we are talking about something like event storming. I mean, we both did like event storming sessions with a lot of people on site. It was really exhausting. But it was also very beneficial, right? I think for the people involved, and we got a lot of positive feedback. And I think this really gets you in a different area also of software engineering. It's not about finding like the nicest framework and a clean solution, but you actually talk and work with the people that really want to use your product in the end.
It's very problem or solution focused to really solve the problems or challenge that our customers face. Another great thing about these collaborative modeling methods, especially like event storming, as we did it with a couple of our clients, is that you also bring people from different departments together, like from different business units, because they all are involved in the same process. And they do probably talk to each other, but very on a small scope. But if they want to see the whole process, it's far easier to really pull in the same direction and to really understand also the challenges that other departments maybe face. And then it's easier to find a solution that like solves everyone's needs, and that also is appropriate to the situation. Maybe also you have financial restrictions that you cannot build everything, but have to see, okay, what is most important? Where are the biggest challenges? Where are the biggest benefits also in a solution? And I think this is great to really be able, with many people in the room, even though it's a full day maybe, or a full session, or maybe also 2 hours, where you can already gain so much insight just by bringing people together.
Yeah, that's true. So it's not only about the stakeholders talking to the developers, it's also the stakeholders, sometimes people from different departments talking to each other, right? And then coming up with like really good solutions that maybe the developers themselves wouldn't have seen.
Yeah. And the interesting part as being a facilitator, as we both are, is that most of the time we don't know the domain we're event storming or we're modeling, but that puts us in a position to actually really challenge also like the wording, the words people use. Like, are you actually talking about the same things? Also, like trying to summarize stories or a path throughout a process, and having this outside view, not being involved, not having this bias, is quite an interesting view as a facilitator. It's something that I really liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So maybe one more aspect that we have been involved in lately more and more is that, of course, this all sounds good and we gain more experience with this and see really benefits. But then I think it's important also to bridge the gap to actual running software, right? So it's important that you actually have a plan or also methods of how you can get from all these insights and stickies at the wall to a structured software architecture, to running code and to software teams. I think this could be something for another episode, of course, but I just wanted to mention that this is something that we think is really important as well. And we are trying to find good solutions here as well.
Yeah, this is also nice that you pointed out. Next week, we're going to the ComoCamp, where we meet with a lot of other modeling enthusiasts. So this is also a great place to exchange experience, to gain more insights, especially this way from modeling to code, to see, okay, what are the challenges that other people faced in other workshops, in other projects, in other scenarios, and to get this exchange and this different views and insights. I'm really looking forward to meet maybe a lot of you guys who listen to this podcast, but maybe also we can gain more enthusiasts there.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to it. I think it's really important as a facilitator to gain more experience, right? Learn from other people, like how they do it. And facilitating these sessions is really challenging, and I think it needs a lot of practice. So I'm really looking forward. Also, there's more to it than just event storming, right? There are lots of interesting methods coming up, also new stuff, or things like event modeling is really popular also at the moment. So I'm also really looking forward.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to share another episode after the ComoCamp to maybe share some more insights on how it went, what we learned, what our takeaways were. Maybe another insight, as event storming was mentioned quite a couple of times, we two did a lab coffee together. I can also link it in the post and in the session notes. So there is also some more insights that you can find on event storming. It goes a lot more into detail. What is the method about, if you're not already a fan or aware of it? Yeah, I think that was a great session. There's probably a lot more to talk about, also a lot more to go into detail. So probably there will follow some more sessions on this, maybe another lab coffee on topics that are interested. So if there are any methods that you think are especially interesting, we can please share them in the comments, and then we'd love to do more also deep dives on that. But with that said, thank you, Sven, very much for sharing your experience, your views. It was great having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to our next episode.